Why is it that the quietest person in the room often carries the most weight? Could silence actually be the boldest statement you ever make? And if you no longer feel the need to respond, have you already won? Let me share something with you, a truth that took me years to truly grasp. A truth so simple, yet so transformative. Silence is not the absence of strength. It is the purest evidence of it. In a world overflowing with noise, where applause is mistaken for worth and constant validation feels like survival, the one who chooses silence is often the one who has already anchored themselves deeply. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't have to fight for attention or wrestle with every critic. Sometimes, the wisest and most powerful thing you can do is remain silent, and just keep walking forward. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you've grown beyond the need to say it. There is a profound peace that settles in your soul when your identity is no longer tied to what others think of you. When you know who you are, you stop needing to be seen. You stop explaining. You stop defending. You no longer live for applause, because your worth no longer feeds on noise. You're not silent because you're scared. You're silent because your focus is too valuable to be wasted on distractions. And let's be honest, not every battle deserves your energy. Not every voice deserves a reply. Some arguments are nothing but traps designed to pull you off your path. I used to believe that if I didn't speak up, if I didn't correct every misunderstanding, I was giving away my power. But now I know, it takes far more strength to hold your peace than to argue with fools. The truly strong don't need to speak to be heard. Their lives speak, their work speaks, their calm, steady spirit speaks volumes. Silence isn't just something you do, it's a posture of surrender and trust. When you stay silent, it's like saying, God, I trust you. I trust you to defend me. I trust you to handle what I cannot. And He will. Sometimes the reason the breakthrough hasn't come, the door hasn't opened, is because you're still trying to fight battles that were never yours to begin with. You're trying to control the outcome with your words, when what's really required is surrender. Faith doesn't shout. Faith stands still and remains unshaken. God doesn't need your defense, He desires your trust. Remember when Jesus stood before His accusers? He didn't argue. He didn't shout. He didn't try to prove anything. He stood there, silent, because He knew the truth never needs to scream. It just needs to endure. That silence wasn't weakness, it was power under control. It wasn't retreat, it was divine authority on full display. And you too will have moments in life when you're misunderstood, misjudged, underestimated. Let them say what they will. Because in those moments, your silence becomes your statement. It says, I am grounded, I know who I am not moved. Those who yell the loudest are often the ones still searching for validation, for worth, for relevance. But those who are full, they don't need to make noise. They just walk. And right from this place of stillness, we step into a deeper truth, a truth that will reshape how you see resistance and destiny. Let's continue in the next part of this video. You see, when your spirit is anchored in quiet confidence, you no longer need to be loud to be powerful. That's when something beautiful happens. You stop chasing attention and start embodying purpose. When you know that you're walking in your purpose, something inside you shifts. You no longer run after validation, applause, or recognition. Why? Because your life begins to speak for itself. You let your consistency, not your words, do the talking. You allow your fruit to reveal what your faith has quietly planted. And like a tall, silent tree in the distance, it doesn't argue. It doesn't explain. It simply grows. It keeps reaching toward the heavens, day after day, and eventually, even those who ignored its seed, those who overlooked its early struggle, can no longer deny the fruit it bears. That's what it means to stay rooted in purpose without needing to announce it. Remaining silent isn't about running from confrontation. It's about ruling your own spirit. It's about having such a deep well of peace that someone else's chaos can't steal it. It's about reaching a level of maturity where your momentum isn't shaken by shallow opinions. Where your character becomes so stable that outside noise can't disrupt your inner clarity. And hear me clearly, when the enemy knows he can't destroy you, he'll attempt something far more subtle. He'll try to distract you. He'll throw confusion into your path. He'll stir up petty offenses, meaningless arguments, and sudden outbursts from others, anything to detour your soul from its divine alignment. But here's where your quiet strength shines the brightest, when you don't bite the bait. When you keep your focus intact. When you refuse to get drawn into battles that aren't yours to fight. You win without ever lifting a sword. Because silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. Don't waste your energy proving what God has already declared over your life. You don't need to convince anyone. Let them think what they want. Let them speak what they will. You keep building, keep showing up, keep working in silence, because there will come a day when your breakthrough will make a noise so loud. No defense would ever match it. Stay rooted, stay centered, stay focused, stay silent, and just wait. Wait and watch what God does in the stillness. Because the most profound growth doesn't happen under the spotlight. It happens in the shadows. In the quiet places where no one is cheering you on. It happens far away from the pressure to perform or the urge to be seen. We live in a world that falsely convinces us we need to constantly broadcast ourselves to matter, but real transformation? It's born in the unseen. That's where God begins his deepest work. Not in the applause, not on the stage, but in those sacred, quiet corners of your soul, when no one is watching, when no one is clapping. And yes, sometimes it feels lonely, not because you're unloved, but because you're being set apart. And don't mistake that separation for rejection. It's not punishment, it's preparation, because God will often isolate you before he elevates you. He'll pull you aside, not to push you down, but to process and refine you, to show you who you are without the crowd, to teach you how to walk in fullness without needing a single clap from anyone. Growth demands discipline, it demands stillness, and sometimes it demands that you walk alone. Think about the seed, before it becomes a tree, before it bears fruit, before anyone can admire its beauty. It must go underground. It must be buried, hidden, unseen. It must be broken in the darkness before it can rise into the light. And nobody celebrates the seed when it's in the soil. There are no cheers for the cracking open. No applause for the quiet breaking beneath the surface. But that breaking, it's holy. It's necessary. That isolation you're experiencing, it's not abandonment. It's divine development. In your life, there will be seasons where God will bury you, not to forget you, but to prepare you, to deepen your roots before he lets you bloom. Because when he does raise you up, it won't just be for show, it will be to sustain something greater than you ever imagined. And in the next part, we'll explore what it truly means to grow strong in the dark, how silence becomes your sacred classroom, and how your hidden season may be the most anointed one yet. Let's Keep Going is where it gets even deeper. People may not understand what you're doing. They might say you've changed. They might think you're distant, cold, or different. Let them think what they want. You're not here to explain your process. You're here to protect it. Because when you're building something real within yourself, you don't have time to be everywhere or to please everyone. You're not available to distractions. When you're truly committed to your calling, you have to embrace those silent seasons, the ones where it seems like nothing is moving. Where your prayers feel like they're echoing back at you. But that's exactly when God is doing His deepest work. He's pruning your heart. He's healing old wounds. He's building your character. And you may not see the change right now, but you will feel it later. You'll notice it when you walk into rooms with a calm, unshakable confidence, when you no longer need attention to feel valuable, when you no longer seek love from the places that once drained you. That is the fruit of private growth. That is the power of silence. And listen, not everyone is meant to walk with you in this season. Some people were only assigned to your past, not your future. And the more you try to drag them into a future they were never meant to enter, the more you delay your own destiny. Let them go. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call it arrogance if they want to. You owe no one your process. What you do owe yourself is obedience, the courage to follow where God is leading you. Even when the path gets quiet, even when growth feels uncomfortable, it will stretch you. It will humble you. It will expose your weaknesses. But don't run from it. Don't numb it. Lean into it. Because God is not interested in making you popular. He's interested in making you powerful. And real power? It doesn't have to announce itself. It doesn't need attention. It simply moves in purpose, speaks with wisdom, and walks in peace. So if you find yourself in that quiet season, don't rush out of it. Don't go looking for a way to escape. Learn to sit in it. Learn to listen. Learn to become. Because what God is doing in you during those silent moments is far greater than anything the spotlight could ever offer you. You are being shaped. You are being sharpened. You are being prepared, not for people, but for purpose. Stay in the process. Stay in the silence. That's where the power is. And here's one of the hardest truths you'll ever have to accept. Not everyone deserves access to your journey. Not everyone is meant to sit at your table, to know your plans, or to walk beside you. And that's not pride. That's protection. That's wisdom. You cannot build a life of peace if you keep handing the keys to people who only bring chaos. Your purpose is sacred, and it must be guarded as something sacred. Because the wrong people in the right places will always lead to the wrong outcomes. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to announce every move you make. The most powerful moments of your life often happen in silence. And one of the most dangerous things you can do is share something sacred with someone who isn't spiritually mature enough to understand it. Just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they're called to go where you're going. Some people are familiar with you, but they're not assigned to walk with you. And you must know the difference. We live in a culture where everyone wants to post it, prove it, promote it. But hear me, your next move should be between you and God. Keep it private. Protect it. You don't need to prove to the world that you're growing. Growth will reveal itself in time. You don't need applause when you have alignment. You don't need permission when you have purpose. Let your life speak for itself. Let your character, your peace, and your results do the talking. Many setbacks happen when we trust the wrong voices. You let them into your heart, your vision, your sacred spaces, and before long, they begin planting seeds of doubt, confusion, and fear. That's why you must be selective. Not cold, not bitter, just wise. There's a big difference between having a good heart and giving your heart to people who were never meant to carry it. Some people were only meant to pass through your life, but you gave them permanent residence. It's time to release what no longer honors your growth. There is a weight that comes with calling, a responsibility that can't be shared with just anyone. If they don't carry the oil, they can't carry the weight. If they don't understand the cost, they won't respect the blessing. You must stop expecting support from those who were never equipped to support you. It's not that they're bad. They're just not built for your path. And that's okay. let them go, in peace. God will often reduce your circle before He raises you up, because elevation requires separation, and sometimes the silence you feel is not loneliness, it's God clearing the room, so He can speak to you without interference. You can't hear clearly when you're surrounded by noise. You can't grow fully when you're always explaining, defending, and performing. There is a unique power in being still, moving quietly, and trusting that what's meant for you doesn't need an audience to be secure. It's okay to move differently. It's okay to become distant. It's okay to outgrow people, places, and conversations. That's what growth does. It creates separation, not because you think you're better, but because you're becoming. You've changed, you've matured, you've learned to value your time, your energy, your peace, and now, you're no longer quick to invite people into spaces they haven't earned. That's not arrogance, that's stewardship. You need to understand this: the more God gives you, the more He expects you to protect it. So let Him say you've changed. Let Him say you're quiet now. Let them call you distant. They don't see the silent prayers behind the scenes. They don't know the weight you carry on your shoulders. They don't feel the calling that wakes you in the middle of the night. You're not being rude. You're being responsible. You're not ignoring people. You're ignoring distractions. There will come a moment when you realize protecting your inner peace matters more than being understood. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Just keep walking. Just keep growing. Just stay focused. Because the ones who are truly for you won't need constant access to validate your worth. They will respect your silence, honor your journey, and if they're truly meant to be there, they'll meet you at the next level. You don't need the crowd to clap. You need the courage to continue. And when you begin to focus on yourself, you'll discover something incredibly powerful. Peace is not something you chase. It's something you create within. So many of us spend our lives searching for peace in external things. Relationships, possessions, status, or approval from others. We think, if I can just get everything right on the outside, maybe then I'll finally feel calm on the inside. But the truth is, peace doesn't come from anything outside of you. It begins the moment you decide to stop depending on people or circumstances to bring it to you. When you stop watching others and begin to work on yourself, everything starts to shift. Clarity begins to show up when comparison fades. When you stop measuring your progress against someone else's, you find a kind of freedom you never knew existed. You stop living under the weight of other people's expectations, and you start living in alignment with the purpose God created for you. And here's the beautiful part. You realize you don't need anyone's permission to be at peace. You don't need to meet their standards. You just need to meet God's standard for your life. And that is more than enough. The moment you choose to focus inward instead of outward, you'll realize how much energy you've wasted on things that hold no value. You'll see how much time you spent worrying about what others think, what they're doing, what they have, and what they're achieving. It's easy to get caught in that cycle, especially in a world addicted to comparison and competition. But when you focus on your own growth, your own purpose, your own God-given journey, you become so consumed with what's happening inside of you that you no longer even have the capacity to compare. You begin to realize what they're doing, what they have, what they say, none of it truly matters. What matters is your life. Peace comes from knowing that you are living in alignment with what you were called to do, not from copying what someone else is doing. There is a profound strength in understanding that peace begins within. When you learn to cultivate peace in your own heart, no one can take it from you. Life will throw everything it has at you. Disappointments, rejection, loss, frustration. But if you've built your peace from the inside out, nothing can shake you. The storm may rage around you, but you'll remain grounded. And that's exactly the kind of strength this world needs today. It's the kind of peace that isn't tied to a moment or a person. It's the kind of peace that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. It's peace that flows not from circumstances, but from God. And when you find that peace, you'll begin to see its fruit in your life. Clarity, confidence, joy, and the ability to stand firm no matter what comes your way. Here's the beautiful part. When you cultivate that peace within yourself, everything around you begins to change. Relationships, situations, even challenges, they all start to shift. Why? Because peace has a power of its own. It changes the atmosphere. When you are at peace with yourself, you stop attracting chaos. You stop tolerating toxic behavior. You stop chasing things that drain you. Instead, you begin attracting the right people, the right opportunities, and the right blessings. When you focus on yourself, when you make peace your priority, everything else begins to align with that peace. The energy you invest into your inner world starts to reflect in your outer world. So why do we keep chasing external validation? Why do we keep looking for peace in people or things that were never meant to give it to us? Because we've been conditioned to believe that our worth and our peace depend on external factors. But once you realize that peace is a choice and a process, you begin to take your power back. You stop waiting for someone else to make you feel worthy. You stop relying on circumstances to define your joy. You decide that your peace comes from within. And that's exactly where your true strength lies. The world will continue pulling at you, demanding your attention, trying to shake your foundation, confusing your thoughts, and whispering lies that you're not enough. But you must remember, peace is your choice. You get to decide. Will you be swept away by the world's noise? Or will you anchor yourself in what cannot be moved? And once you make that decision, once you declare that your peace is non-negotiable, everything begins to change. No one can disturb your peace, unless you allow them to. So focus on yourself, work on yourself, and let your inner peace be a reflection of your faith, your strength, and your commitment to the purpose God has placed on your life, your journey. And when you do that, you'll be amazed at how everything else starts falling into place. There's something powerful about staying still, in a world that never stops moving. Everyone around you is running, hustling, climbing, and competing. But you're learning to sit in silence. You're learning that progress doesn't always look like activity. Sometimes, progress looks like patience. It looks like waiting. It looks like trusting, even when the world is telling you to panic. And in those quiet moments, God is doing something deep within you that requires no applause, no attention, no validation. It's a sacred work, a work that can only be done in silence. And it's something that cannot be rushed. The world will tell you, move faster, push harder, do more. But God often says, rest, be still and know that I am God. In stillness, you find strength. In silence, you find clarity. In waiting, you find direction. Because sometimes, the loudest thing you can do is nothing at all. Victory isn't found in the noise, the speed, or the constant striving. It's found in the quiet moments of surrender. When we rush through life, we miss the moments that truly matter. We overlook the lessons waiting for us in the silence. But as you focus on yourself and embrace the quiet, you'll discover something incredible. The more space you give God to move, the more He will reveal. You see, silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of God's work in your life. It's when you stop trying to control everything, stop managing every outcome, and finally let go. That's when God steps in and moves in ways you never imagined. He moves in the silence. He works in the stillness. And He prepares you for what's ahead. We often fail to understand the power of silence, because we've been taught that noise means progress. But the truth is, your most important growth will happen when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is cheering you on. And in those moments, when it feels like nothing is happening, you're actually being prepared for something greater than anything you could have dreamed. It's in the waiting that God builds the character you'll need to carry the blessing He's preparing to give you. God doesn't always move in the ways we expect. Sometimes He moves in ways that make no sense at all in the moment. But if you are willing to wait, to stay silent, and to trust the process, you'll see that He is working all things together for your good. It is in the silence that you grow stronger. It is in the stillness that you are shaped. The world tells you to keep moving, to keep striving, to keep pushing, but God says, "Be still and know that I am God." And in that stillness, you'll find your confidence, your peace, and your power. The truth is, when you learn to be silent, you begin to hear things you once missed in all the noise. You start to hear the voice of God more clearly. You begin to hear the voice of your own heart. You begin to hear what truly matters, the things that align with the purpose you were created to fulfill. And as you turn inward, as you embrace the silence, you begin to realize your life is not defined by how loud you are, but by the depth of your inner peace, your strength, and your faith. The longer you dwell in stillness, the more you learn. You learn about yourself. You learn about your purpose. You learn what truly holds value. You stop chasing after temporary things and begin to focus on the eternal. And the more you remain in that silence, the more you realize the life you've been trying to build through your own effort was never meant to be built by you alone. It was always meant to be built with God. And only when you learn to rest in His presence, to be silent before Him, do you begin to see the true greatness of the blessings He has already prepared for you. So stop rushing your journey. Stop comparing your path to someone else's. Stop looking at their progress and thinking you're falling behind. Focus on yourself. Remain silent. Let God work within you, even when it feels like nothing is happening, because it is in the silence that He is preparing you for something far greater than you could ever imagine. And when the time comes, you will see the results of all that quiet, sacred work unfold in your life, and you will know every moment of stillness was worth it. So stay silent, stay focused, and trust the process that He is leading you through. Dear friend, if you find yourself in a quiet season of life, so silent it feels like you've been forgotten, remember this: God is never silent without purpose. In the moments no one else sees, He is doing His greatest work. Don't fear the solitude. Don't be shaken by the silence, because it is in stillness that you are shaped. It is in waiting that you are refined. And it is in the hidden places, without applause or attention, that God is preparing you for something far greater. When the time comes, you won't need to announce that you're ready. Your peace, your strength, and your unshakable faith will speak louder than any words ever could. And when that moment arrives, every quiet step, every surrendered prayer, every unseen sacrifice will echo louder than the noise you once thought you needed. If this message spoke to your heart, if you are walking through silence and needed a reminder of hope, please click like and share this video with someone who needs it too. And if you want to walk this journey of faith with us, to grow in peace, find your purpose, and discover God's voice in the stillness, subscribe to the channel today. Let the quiet voice of God lead you. Because you are never alone. You are being trained, prepared, and called for something far greater. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, may you walk in unshakable peace.